Hari Om everyone. We are starting this class on Tattwabodha today. This is the 14th class. We have finished 13 sessions and we are looking at Jiva, Atma, Paramatma, Ekyam that will come in this class. The rest we'll revise a bit about what we read in the previous. So let's start with the chanting first. I will chant. You can chant there from your own side. There's a problem with Zoom. You can't chant together. Otherwise, there's too much interference. So I will chant here. You can join me from there. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Gananam Va Ganpati Gam Havamahi Kavim Kavinam Upamasravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Ana Shrimvanmutivi Siddha Sadhanam. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. So, Hari Om everyone. We have started this class on Tattwabodha. We have done earlier the portions starting with the sessions where we saw the first part, which is Adhikari. So the one who is fit to gain the knowledge. And then once who has that Adhikari has been defined, then the subject matter was defined. So the subject matter being Atma Jnanam or Atma Bodh. So once that was defined, the starting point was Atma Kaha. And from there started the question and answer format, whereby whatever is not Atma, that is first negated. So Anatma, everything that is Anatma was negated. So that included the Sharir Trayam, the three Shariras, Sukshma, Stool and Karan Sharir. And then the Avastha Trayam, the three avasthas or the three states of our experience, Jagrit, Swapna, Sushupti, the waking, deep sleep, and the dream state. And then finally, the five layers of our personality, Panchagosha. So the five koshas, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vigyanmaya, and finally Anandamaya. So all these koshas were wind up. And then finally, we moved on to this portion where we discussed uh, the Pind and Brahmand Ekyam. So I'll just share that part on screen. We finished that, but first we understood about the how this universe is manifested. So that manifestation was at the total level. Huh? So at the total level, so there we saw the 24 elements. It's Atha Chaturvinshati Utpatti. So there we saw the starting point is what? Brahman or Brahma, from Brahma with his power, which is Maya, his Shakti. The whole universe is manifested. Firstly, it is in the form of the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, and from them, first the Akasha, the space element is born, and then Vayu and Tejas and so on. Once the elements are born, which we call as the Sukshma Srishti, right? Sukshma Bhut Srishti. Then from that, the Bhautik Srishti. The from the elements, the bhutas, the Bhautik, elements combined to produce different things. So there we saw the elements being split by the sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic aspects into three. And so from the sattvic aspect, we got the Gyanendriya. From the Right. Samashti Sattvic aspect, we got the Man Buddhi Ahankar. From the Rasic aspect, we have the five Karmendriya and the five pranas. And then finally the Panchikaran happens. So now we have the Sthul Bhut Srishti. So this process of Panchikaran, whereby each element is combining with the remaining four. So here what happens is what we call the process of Panchikaran. In this, each element first splits into half, two halves. The lower half then again splits into four parts each. And then each of those four parts will go to the to the other elements. So then, Akashaha will have half of Akash and one-eighth each of Agni, Vayu, Jala, and Prithvi. And the same way for Jala also, Jala will have half of Jala, and the remaining four parts, remaining one-eighth each of the lower half will contain the other elements. So in this way, this composition is happening. So what is one important aspect of this composition? Then interconversion can happen now, right? So every element is now combined with the others. So now the solid can move to the liquid state because that each element has within it the latent uh, part of other elements. So now anything that is solid can now be converted to the liquid state. Anything that is liquid can be converted to the gaseous state, and so on, finally up to energy and up to space. So in this way, this interconversion happens, right? And these five elements then are able to manifest all the rest of what we call the sthula bhautika srishti, the macro universe of gross forms, right? So that includes all the stars, the planets, the everything that we see outside, and of course our own body also. So now, what is this? What is the main conclusion at the end of this? We say this evam pind brahmandayoho ekyam sambhutam. So this pindam, the individual, the microcosm, is identical with the macrocosm. It is identical with the macrocosm. What is the macrocosm? The universe. Brahma and represents, and is like an egg. So that is usually the we call the shape in which the universe is born at the initial states, right? And that Brahman represents the whole potential of the universe from which the universe is born. Not just this universe, many universes are. So when this universe is born, then what is the main connecting point? All of the individuals are connected intimately with the rest of the universe. That means you cannot separate the individual from the total. The individual and the total are very intimately connected, and that means they feed each other, they nurture each other. So, very important part of that nurturing is this is the main way where we learn about how the great people behave. How the people who are very famous, or how the people who are very knowledgeable, how they behave. They know about this Pinda Brahman Ekyam. They know this equality, right? So what happens there? Every person who knows this, he knows that this universe is nourishing me. This universe is nourishing me. So I have a huge debt to pay back to this universe. This huge debt that I have to pay back has to be in the form of I have to do maximum action to generate maximum resources. So for those resources, some I have to take for myself. Yes, that is the Hindu concept where I keep minimum for myself, because man can survive with the minimum amount of resources, right? And then the rest I spent in building the society around me. So for a king, he will build huge palaces, and then he will also build other resources for all the people around him. And so too for the Vaishya, Shudra, everyone is involved in building the society. So when that society is built up in this healthy manner, everyone is able to reap the benefits of that society. Everyone is able to reap the benefits of this society. So one point we always have to remember here, we have seen that all of this is said to be coming from Maya. Everything is a product of Maya. So this we call as mithya. So mithya, we have to very clearly understand. A lot of people confuse. Mithya is not something that is not existent. It is not there. It is something that is visible. It is projected, but it has no real essence of its own. So that is why if we feel that the body, someone can harm my body, and so that is to what? I have to negate my body also. This body is also mithya. That I have to clearly understand, right? So if this body is, if I don't negate the body first, then I will not be able to negate the Jagat. So to negate the Jagat, first I have to negate the body. Then only I will be able to reach out for my true nature, the Atma Swarupa, my Atma. Right? So when this Pind Brahman Ekyam is there, then there are so many so many beautiful things that are connected to this, like for those who are very connected to this way, to the universe, they contribute everything that they can to the universe. So they are what we call endowed with the knowledge called the Padmini Vidya. So what is this Padmini Vidya? I'm bit digressing a bit, but just some interesting points. So this Padmini Vidya represents the knowledge that this universe and me are non-separate. I am one with the universe. So the person who has this Padmini Vidya is said to be having a uh, what we call uh, association with every part of the universe. He has what we call the Navanidhis. So in Hanuman Chalisa we have Ashta Siddhi Navnidhi ke Data. So what are those Navnidhi? They represent the different levels by which we can associate with this uh, but the different levels by which we can associate our connection with the universe. So right. So if I am the what is the highest one in the Padmini Vidya? That is the what we call the Padma uh, state. So what is the Padma state? So Padma state represents the place, the state where I am connected to my highest chakra. Though what is the highest chakra? The Sahasrar chakra. So Sahasrar chakra is what we call thousand petaled lotus. So there it represents all the thoughts or all the manifestations that are possible in the universe. So all the thoughts that come are through that Sahasrar chakra. So it represents the whole universe in a way, the whole manifest universe. So if I'm connected there, if I'm connected in my Sahasrara chakra, then I am able to see the whole universe as an extension of me. Nothing is separate from me. So I will be able to give the most to everyone around. So for that kind of person who has these Navnidhis, so the first one being the Padma Nidhi. Similarly, as we go down the list, we have Padma Nidhi, Mahapadma Nidhi, Neel Nidhi, Mukund Nidhi, Nand Nidhi, Makar Nidhi, Kachhap Nidhi, then Shank Nidhi, and finally Kharva Nidhi. So all those represent uh, the stage from lower to higher, from higher to lower. So Padma is the highest. When we are connected to our Sahasrara chakra, the highest chakra, then we are able to unite with the whole universe. And it is said there in the story, there is a story in the Markandeya Puran that whenever anyone has this highest Padmini Vidya, he is able to have enough resources for 7 generations. He will never be able to finish. And of course, the one who gives this knowledge to his children, that knowledge will last for infinite generations. That is how it is defined. So that is the beauty of our systems, that once we associate ourselves with the whole universe, then we understand that we have to sacrifice to give. Yes, we have to sacrifice for the universe to grow. I have to give up my own ownership, my own sense of ego, right? When I give up my sense of ego, then I start owning a bigger entity. So the more I surrender, the more I surrender to the whole universe's power comes to me, right? So as I say again and again, that with great power comes great responsibility is the Spider-Man dialogue. But in our system, with great responsibility comes great power. You reverse it. So the more responsibility we take, more power is given to us. It happens, you can see it in any company, any social organization. The more you give, the more responsibilities you get, the more power you get, the more decision making capacity you are given, right? So the more we give to the universe also, similarly, we get more power, and similarly, more resources become available to us. So that is what we call this Padma Nidhi, where all the resources of the universe come to help us whenever we surrender to this universe. They all come to our aid. So when this aid is with us, then we are able to perform to the highest capacity possible. Similarly, when our association with the lower chakras, our association with less people. No, so if we start with the lowest, so Muladhar is our association is only with our own body. My own body is important to me. I will nurture only my body. So that selfishness will give me less resources. The universe will also give me more less resources. Then I go up to the Swadhisthana chakra. So there I am associated with progeny, my children. So my love is only till me and my children. So my prosperity will increase, but only to that level, and so on up to the highest. So this Padmini Vidya helps us get what we call Navanidhi, the highest powers. So when this universal connection happens with us, we are able to interact with the universe in a feeling of surrender. So then when we have to give up anything, no, we don't suffer, or we don't feel bad, or we don't, feel a sense of loss. That is what happens. So all the great people, Bhagwan Ram, Sita Ma, Sita Ma, everyone you would have heard why she was sent to the forest. So Sita Ma was not worried about that. Huh? Initially she felt angry, that the sense of why it is happening to her. But later she saw as a samashti yagna, so as that I am contributing to my husband's, to my society's welfare and well-being. So I am willing to give up my comforts. I'm willing to give up, and that person didn't have the problem. Today we have the problem. So it happens in all the great people of those times and today's time also. They didn't feel that giving up something is a loss. They felt that giving up something is a gain, giving up something is a contribution of theirs to this society, the universe, the people around, and that helped the society to always stay healthy. When there are more and more people contributing to the welfare of the society, then the society grows in a proportionate manner, right? So then we move on now to the next topic, which is the Jeev Paramatma Ekyam, or Jeev Ishwar Ekyam, right? So, so now we have Sthul Sharir Abhimani, Sthul Sharir Abhimani, Jeevanamakam, Brahma Pratibimbam Bhavati, Sa Eva Jeevah, Prakritya Swasmat Ishwaram, Bhinnatven Janati, and avidya upadhi san atma jiv iti uchyate mayopadhi san ishvara uchyate. So till here we'll take it. So now we have to, before we go into the word for word translation for this, we have to understand the concept that is being enumerated here, right? So what is this concept saying? This concept says that first of all, we have to understand the revelation of the fact that the truth of this microcosm, the reality of this microcosm, the individual, and the truth of the macrocosm, the total, is one and the same. The essence or core is one and the same. How we saw in this part of the Brahmanda that everything has come down from the five elements only, right? So these five elements have built the outer external world. And then similarly, those five elements have also built up the individual, my body, right? So in this way, externally also, I and the universe are uh, coming down from the same source only. We are one and the same only, right? And then secondly, what happens is, what is the life force inside us? What is the consciousness within us? That is also one single consciousness, Brahman, from which all the jivas are getting their consciousness. So all of us have this one common source where we are connected. That means the Jeev and the Ishvara, the highest, are very, very, very much the same only, but they appear different. So why they appear different? We'll just have a look at. I'll just share some. So now we have, first of all, we have at the individual level, we have what we call a reflecting medium. This reflecting medium will reflect the consciousness, and then only can the experiences happen, right? So first of all is the individual. So individual, if you look at, I have written here, you can see, if you can see RM1 or the gross body. So the gross body is first we can call reflecting medium 1, right? Gross body is the reflecting medium 1. Then second one is what? Our subtle body. The subtle body is also reflecting the consciousness. So that is the subtle body is the reflecting medium 2. We have labeled it RM2. Subtle body is RM2, right? Similarly, the causal body, the Karan Shariram, that is called the uh, reflecting medium 3. We have labeled it RM3. Then further, if we go to the, now we go to the total level, at the universal level, that is Paramatma. So that Paramatma is what? There the total body, the total gross body is what? That is again another reflecting medium. So that reflecting medium is RM4. So when we are looking at this reflecting mediums, uh, we have in total 6. So fifth one again is the total subtle body or the total uh, mind. So that total subtle body represents what we call reflected medium 5. Then again the reflecting medium 6 is the total causal body, the causal body, the Karan Sharir of the whole universe. So there we saw these 6 that we have seen so far, they represent the inert or jada part. They represent the material part, right? So material is what? Something that has no consciousness of its own. Material has no consciousness of its own, but they are reflecting the consciousness. So there is one original consciousness. Just like you can take the example of, there is one sun, and that sun can have multiple reflections, right? The multiple reflections can be like you can say in a bucket. There is a example in the Kathopanishad. So there are so many buckets, each of them are reflecting the sun. So all those represent the different jivas, the different individual entities that are reflecting the consciousness. So that original light is very big, but this is very small. But using that light, you can, turn that light or reflect that light to like light up a full room, right? Full room can be lit up by just that reflected light itself. So if there is a dark room where the sunlight is not entering, you can place some mirrors strategically outside, and that light will be then reflected onto the room and light will enter the room. That you can liken to the consciousness that is reflected by our mind into our body. Our body is that house, right? From where that original consciousness into which it is being reflected. So original consciousness is what? Original consciousness is only one. It has no parts, right? But there is a reflected consciousness which appears with parts. Reflected consciousness also is one. You cannot separate consciousness in a way, but it will appear small or big depending on the reflecting medium, right? So just like if you have any of you ever been to what you call this house of mirrors, anyone has been there? Anita, Ushita, Simarekha ji, Nitin, have you been in this house of mirrors?
No, sir, just seen on YouTube.
Okay, you can check out online, that you'll always find it. So they have different mirrors where everyone is appearing different of different size. So somewhere you'll appear big, somewhere you'll appear small, somewhere your ears will be wide, and then there is the one of my favorite ones. where they have very small dots. Each dot will reflect your face, and you will see so many of your own face, right? So that is in a way the representation of this one Brahman appearing as many. So when you go to this reflected room of mirrors, then all the reflections are different. They are small. But what about the original? The original is same. You are the same, but you are appearing in different reflections as different. So in this way, all the reflections are uh, having different kind of intensity, different brightness, different qualities, and so on. All the reflections are different. Similarly, all the jivas, they have a different reflection. And then, of course, the reflection for the total, the Atma is, Paramatma is a different one. It is a bigger reflection. So, what is the main one? The Jiva has lesser qualities. We call the Jiva as Alpagya. He has less knowledge. Whereas the Paramatma is Sarvagya. He is all knowing. So, Jivatma cannot even control the traffic that is going on the road. But Paramatma will be controlling everything. He will be controlling all the motions of the planets. He will be controlling each and every, because there is a law. No? If there is even a slight change in the value of the gravity constant, then the whole universe will collapse. Or any planet that is moving around another, it will collapse or they will fall into each other. What is that force? What is that consciousness that is ensuring that everything is moving in perfect circles for ages and ages? So that is if you make any calculation in modern science according to the laws of science, none of this thing can actually happen. So if you make any calculation, ultimately, even if it is something like the electron that is going around the atom, then ideally the electron should rotate and start and fall back into the nucleus, because it will start to decelerate. Right. Similarly, the Earth also after some time should start, the circumference should keep on decreasing, the orbit that it is moving around the sun, it should decrease and it should fall into the sun. But why it is not falling? We say because there is some Shakti there is some power, there is some universal consciousness that is the holder. So for that we have a rule in Vedanta. So wherever there is a law, there is a holder of the law. Wherever there is a lawgiver, wherever there is a law in function, then there has to be someone who is imposing that law. So that we say is Ishvara. So Ishvara is one who controls all the laws of the universe. So now we saw these terms earlier. We will understand more clearly what is this reflected consciousness. So all of these bodies are reflecting the consciousness, that original consciousness. So we have the consciousness that is reflected through the gross body. We will call it RC1. That is called Vishwa. So earlier we said Vishwa and gross body are same. But now let us understand clearly. There is a slight difference. The gross body represents the material part. Right? It represents the material part of the existence. Whereas the Vishwa, that represents the reflected consciousness that is functioning through the gross body. Similarly, the RC2 is called reflected consciousness 2 is called Tejasa. So this Tejasa represents the reflected consciousness that is functioning through the subtle body. Similarly, the RC3, it is called Pragya. So Pragya is what? Reflected consciousness functioning through the causal body. That is Pragya. So these are all three at the individual levels, right? And then what about the total level? At the total level, you have Paramatma. So RM1, RM2 plus RM3 is called Jivatma. RM4 plus RM5 plus RM6 is called Paramatma. Add to that the consciousness aspect also. So in Jivatma, you add RC1, RC2, RC3. Paramatma, you add RC4, RC5, RC6. So in Paramatma, the consciousness that is functioning through the total body, the total gross body is called Virat or Vaishvanara. In the total mind or total subtle body, the reflected consciousness is RC5. Its technical name is Hiranyagarbha. And then RM6 represents the total causal body. So the consciousness functioning through that is called RC6. It is called Antaryami. right? So this original consciousness, that is one and one only, that is not divided. It manifests or it divides through the reflecting medium into six different consciousness. So all that is why every jiva has different sizes of body, different minds. So whatever be the reflecting medium, depending on that is the reflected consciousness, and that is how the image of each and every one of them is formed. That is how the image is different of all of these jivas. And similarly, the Ishvara is representing the total aspect. So that total aspect representing all the different consciousness from 1 to 6 is there. So now we have all these six consciousnesses associated with the six bodies. So when we understand that, firstly, that this same consciousness is dividing into these six different parts, then let us go back to our different materials also, the different bodies also. So again, we remember, where is the six bodies? Where are the bodies coming from? The bodies also are coming from the six, what we call the five elements, the five great elements, those Panch Mahabhut. So from that, the all the six bodies are coming. So that means that their source is only the five elements. All of this has come only from the five elements. So again, we can resolve all the five elements into one, because everything has come from Akasha. From Akash, the other elements come one by one. So everything has come from Akash. And again, we can keep on going back and back and back up till we reach up to Maya. So Maya is the one that is giving us the different forms. All the different forms have appeared, right? But what is the material on which the forms are appearing? That is the real existence, Sat. On the Sat, all are appearing, right? So in this way, the Jeev and Jivatma and Paramatma, whenever they are functioning through any medium, we give them a different name, which that name we call Upadhi, right? So that we have to understand clearly first now. So what is Upadhi? Upadhi is whenever something is functioning through, whenever there is an instrument being used to do any kind of cognition, or whenever there is something that I'm using to do any work, then my association with that becomes very close, right? So sometimes I'm working with a tool, I get so engrossed in the tool, I hurt my hand also. Right? I lose sight of the fact that my hand is holding the tool. Similarly, we also lose sight of the fact that it is my consciousness that is functioning, and these are merely all my instruments, the gross body, subtle body. And I start thinking of myself as these bodies only. I start of thinking of myself as the gross body. I start thinking of myself as the subtle body. I start thinking of myself as the causal body. Then what about Ishvara? Ishvara is also similarly deluded? No, that is the difference. What is the difference? We are we are under the control of Agyan. Agyan. We are ignorant beings. But Ishvara is Maya Upadhi son. He is the controller of Maya. He is the controller of Maya. So Maya Upadhi son. He is the one with the Upadhi of Maya. So he knows that I am creating this universe. So it is by his mere presence that the whole universe gets created, according to the gunas or properties of each and every entity in the universe, merely by his presence. So nothing he needs to do. So in this way, the whole universe is controlled by Ishvara, because he is present as what we call the Antaryami, the inner controller. So he is within all the hearts as the inner consciousness, and that is why we call him the Karma Phala Data. He is also the giver of the fruits of all our karmas, because he is present in every heart. He is present in every heart. He knows each and every karma that we are doing, and that is why he is able to give the karma phala according to whatever the jiva has done, according to whatever the jiva has deserved. But if we look at everything from the viewpoint of essence, then we have to understand. We can take another example, like we say the wave, and then we take the ocean. But what are both? They are both of them are only water, right? So wave you can say is the Jivatma, is the small entity. Ocean is the Paramatma, Bhagwan, Ishvara. He represents the total entity. But when we look at it from the standpoint of the essence, then what is the essence? Water. Wave is also water. Ocean is also water. So ocean is so big. Water is this wave is so small. So that is why we perceive differences. So whatever the individual is, the wave is small, and the ocean is large. But if we start seeing ourselves as only water, then there is no difference between Jivatma and Paramatma. That is what we have to clearly understand, right? So mostly in most texts you will see the analysis of this consciousness only, right? The consciousness is the same through all of us, so that means we are all one only. So if we remove the upadhi, we remove the reflecting medium. The moment I remove the reflecting medium, then that gross big Paramatma and me, we are both only Atma only, right? So Atma is what? Atma is not just consciousness. Atma is also existence. Atma is also bliss. Sat, Chit, Anand, Rupa. So if the whole of the creation has come out from is a reflection of this Atma only, that means my true nature, my true Swarupam is Atma only. So this body I have to negate, right? So that is why I said anything that comes to me in the universe, anything that troubles me, anything that gives me problem. So I see that this person is abusive towards me. How do I get rid of him? Or this person hurts me regularly. How do I escape from him? So my escape is at the body level. If I have to understand that Atma is not being hurt or harmed in any case. And if Atma is not being harmed, I first have to negate my body. That is where we fail. I sees everything as mithya. Mithya does not mean does not exist. Mithya, we have to clearly understand. Mithya means it, we can see it. It is experienceable, right? But it has no essence of its own. So if the outer world or other people are mithya, then first I have to understand I am also mithya. So if this body is mithya, then why I have to worry about anything happening to this body? This body will fend for its own. Of course, that is it in its own plane of transaction. We call it the Vyavaharik level. The body will fend for itself. The Atma is not bothered by all of this. So, but if I have to understand the whole world as mithya, then first I have to negate my body. I cannot retain ownership of my body as real and the whole world as unreal. First, I have to negate my body only, right? So that is why whatever is happening to the body, I have to react with the body at the bodily level. But at the Atma level, I have to have the clear understanding that nothing is going to hurt me or harm me. That is how fearless truly comes. When I understand that anything is happening to this body is a mithya body only. So nothing that is happening to it can affect the Atma, right? So this whole universe is essentially a manifestation of Atma. Similarly, the Jiva is also an essential is a manifestation of Atma, both at the micro level, at the macro level. The difference is only of Upati, only of the medium through which it is functioning, the RM1, RM2, RM3. So the reflecting medium. So RM1, RM2, RM3, we have added together and we named it one entity, the individual Jivatma. Then RM3, RM4, RM6, I have combined into what I call Paramatma. Each of them is reflecting the consciousness. Because the medium is different, the consciousness is appearing different. So we can say Brahman is what? Brahman is like the sun, right? Sun, it does not do any kind of transaction. There is no kind of transaction being done by the sun. But on the earth, blessed by the sun, in the presence of the sunlight, all the transactions are happening. So these transactions are happening with the blessing of the Brahman, right? So Brahman is the Brahma Chaitanyam or the Atma Chaitanyam. It is changeless, formless, attributeless. It has no gunas, right? Whereas we have what we call so many gunas. The difference between Jivatma and Paramatma, Jivatma has what we call Nikrishta guna. We have lower gunas. We have all the vices, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, and so on. Whereas Paramatma, he is beyond. Why? Because he has no sense of doership. वहां कर्तापन नहीं है. There is no abhimana. So if there is no abhimana, then he does not have any of the vices. So there we call Ishvara is the form of Vishuddha Sattva, totally pure mind. So that mind is not bound by any kind of deficiency, and that is why for Paramatma we have all the what we call the superior qualities. So he is Sarvagya, Sarva Shaktiman, Sarva Gyanvan, and so on. So all the differences of the Jivatma and Paramatma, only the reflecting medium. But in essence, what are both? Both are Atma only. Both are consciousness only. Both are existence only. Right? So when we combine existence and consciousness, as we saw earlier also, existence is infinite, consciousness is infinite. And so, in fact, there cannot be two infinite. So actually, they are one. But to us, it appears because we look at it from the perspective of the world, from the perspective of the world. So because of this perspective, the universe appears as a separate, bigger entity. And that is why I will always have to bow down to Paramatma. But only till the moment my knowledge is not fixed. So there is a story in the Puranas. There is a very huge whale. There is a very huge whale that is swimming around in the ocean. And then there are so many fish. So whenever these fishes they come in front of that big whale, the big whale eats them all up. But there is one small fish who managed to survive for so many years. So the people they went up to this fish and they said, what is your secret? What is the secret for your ability to survive so long? So he said, simple thing. I just hold on to the tail of the big fish, of the big whale. So wherever he goes, I go behind him only. He's never able to see me. Right? So that is the same way we have to have the attitude with Ishvara. We have to surrender to him. We have to bow down to him. We have to hold on to his tail. We have to ask him to lead us. Whatever we do, we say, you are only helping us do. It is your motion that is helping making my motion. It is your activity that is becoming my activity. The moment I have that level of surrender, then I will slowly, Ishvara himself will guide me and lead me out of this, what we call Bhava Sagar, the ocean of samsara. And I will be able to cross this uh, effortlessly. And once my jnana is thiram, when my knowledge is very stable and fixed, and it is perfected by Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan. Shravan is hearing the knowledge, Mananam is reflecting on it, constantly correcting my what we call notions, wrong notions. Whatever wrong notions I have to keep correcting, right? So when all of these wrong notions are dispelled, then I cease to see no difference between this Jivatma and that Paramatma. I see that Paramatma as only a modification or as a reflection that is different. The difference is only as I repeat again and again, because we have to fix this in my mind. I'm repeating this again and again because we have to understand that it is only from the standpoint of the upadhi, standpoint of the reflected medium, that Ishvara appears separate and Jivatma appear separate. So in effect, hmm,
Same tattvas.
hmm.
Then how is the activity is different?
Reflecting medium is different. Tattva is, see, tattva is same, but the tattva can combine in different ways, right? So when the tattva is combining, then what is happening? There is this small body, right? There is this small body, and so our field of activity will be limited to this body. But for Ishvara, what is his body? For Ishvara, his body is the whole universe. So his reflecting medium is way different, right? So I can combine from mud, I can make a very small, toy pot, or I can make a huge pot, right? So Ishvara is that huge pot. So that reflecting medium is very, very different from my reflecting medium, right? My reach is very limited. His reach is infinite. His reach is limited, is extends to the whole universe. So that is why Ishvara has higher qualities. We have lower qualities. But if I see myself in the form of essence only, then me and Ishvara are both the very much the same only, right? So we have seen both of us, both the gunas different. The difference is only in the guna, Nikrisht guna and Utkrisht guna. So Ishvara has what we call Utkrisht guna, Jiva has Nikrisht guna. But what about Atma? How many gunas does Atma have? How many gunas? No gunas. Nirguna, right? Nirguna. That is why it has no form, no shape. Anything that has gunas, you can ultimately separate into shapes. You can ultimately separate into forms. But that is why the Atma has no form, shape, size, limitation. But Jivatma is limited. Paramatma is also limited. You have to remember that. Paramatma's limitation is to this visible universe. For another universe, there will be another Paramatma, or this Paramatma functioning through different levels. So, in this way, all the universe, however big it may seem to us, it will be the same. So we have to understand that this whole universe is manifest, first of all, in a space. There is some space where it is being manifest. This space being small or big, that creates the difference between Jivatma and Paramatma. But is this space absolute? No, this space is not absolute. In our Shastras, we say space is different. There is a Bhutakash, the outer space. There is a Chittakash, there is within us. Then, of course, the Chidakash, the infinite consciousness is called Chidakash. But let us, if we can understand in the form of, even in terms of modern science, right? So just understand, let me say this room space, this room space. Okay, for me, this room space is absolute. This has always been this room here. The space inside has been always been here. So that means this space is not changing. Do you agree? Do you think, or does anyone say this space is changing? Seema Rekha ji, Anita, Urshita, Rita ji, is this space same, the one space in this room, or is it changing?
Same.
Same, no? Yeah, it appears the same. When this space is here, you are seeing the space that is in this room with reference to you and the earth around you. What about the earth? The earth is moving, earth is going round. So this space that you're talking about here, 10 minutes later, it will be 1,000 miles away, right? It will be 1,000 miles away. You can make the calculation. Then similarly, it's not just the earth that is moving round. Earth is going round the sun. So you can add another factor to that, maybe 10 times or 15 times. So that is how far this space has already changed. Within a blink of seconds, the space that you were in, it is somewhere else. And then, of course, you keep on going. You can keep on going. The sun is going round in its own position in a huge circle around the Milky Way, down the center of the Milky Way. It is also rotating. So there it is millions and billions of kilometers. Then again you can keep on going the galaxies. There is a further the galaxy cluster upon which this is being this rotation is going. Then you can go to the multiple other bigger clusters, the Como cluster, then the what we call the there are some other galaxial clusters which have different bigger sizes than our clusters. So they're also all our sun and all those galaxies together, they are also moving. So let me not confuse you too much there, but simply we have to understand this space also is not absolute. This is also in constant motion, and there is a different space at every time wherever you are, right? So this space also is not absolute. It is just a manifestation. It is an illusion of Maya that makes us feel that we are in one space. But actually, this space also, the subtlest element, the most subtle element is also changing so rapidly. So that is why this whole universe that I look at is simply name and form. It is simply what we call a reflecting medium. But when I go back to the essence, then essence is same. So we'll just go back to the text now and we'll. So this evam pind brahmand yoho ekyam sambhutam. So sthul sharir abhimani jivana namakam brahma pratibhimbam bhavati. So that is the first reflection part. So this sthul sharir, and also you can add similarly the sukshma sharir and the karan sharir. There is a reflection of the consciousness, what we call the RC1, RC2, RC3. That is the Brahma Pratibhimbam. Brahma is the original consciousness. Its reflection is the Brahma Pratibhimbam, the reflected consciousness. That reflected consciousness associates itself or attaches itself or takes the upadhi of the different three sharirams. Sthul Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, Karan Sharir. And there it becomes what we call Sa Eva Jivaha. It becomes what we call the Jivaha. So this jiva is represented by the three reflecting mediums and the three reflected consciousness which come through the reflection upon each one of them. And what about this difference then? Prakritya swasmat ishwaram bhinnatvena janati. Because this jivatma is functioning through this very, very small body, this stool sharira abhimani jiva, then and it sees the whole macro universe as so huge and large, and by understanding it infers that just like there is a pinda, there is similarly brahmanda. So if there is a consciousness within me, there is a consciousness for the whole universe also. So that consciousness is much much bigger. That total body is also much bigger. So that description is given in different Vedic verses also. So we have the Purush Sukta, where it is given that the hair of this Ishvara is the jungles, and so on. Each and every part of his body, the sun and the moon. So the sun represents the eyes of Purusha. The moon, moon represents the mind of Purusha, and so on. So all of these at the macro level also are available in a much bigger size. So there, this jiva, he thinks of himself as different from Ishvara. How different? Avidya Upadhi son. His Upadhi is Avidya. Because of ignorance, he sees himself as functioning through the three different bodies and thinks of himself as the bodies. He thinks of himself as the mind. He thinks of himself as the prana. And so, whatever the properties, whatever the gunas, whatever the dharmas of these three, he imposes him upon himself. So when the body grows fat, he says, I am fat. Body grows thin, I am thin. Then when he feels weak, then that is his pran shakti that is getting weak. So he says, I am weak. When he is happy, his mind, his thoughts are in a happy state. So he imposes that happiness, sadness upon himself. So he doesn't say my mind is happy, mind is sad, and so on. So all of these upadhis that are connected to each of our three sharirams, right up to the Karan shariram where the Anand Kosha resides. So whatever joy, whatever pleasure of his is there, that resides there, that he associates with himself, and he thinks of himself as the Anandmaya Kosha, and so on. But what is the difference with Ishvara? Ishvara has Maya Upadhi San. So he has Maya Upadhi. So this Upadhi is what? This upadhi is in under the control of Ishvara. So Ishvara is not affected by them, and that is why he appears bigger. That is why he has control over everything, right? He is not helpless creature of universe. He can control each and every aspect of the universe. So then, now what is the problem now? What is the problem? Why can't we just stay in that state of ignorance, keep on going through this world, right? So for that he answers, evam upadhi bhedat जीव ईश्वर भेद दृष्टि ही यावत पर्यंतम तिष्ठति. So by this difference in upadhi, by this difference in upadhi between what? Between jiva and ishvara. So because of this difference, yavat paryantam tishtati. As long as this difference persists in the mind of the seeker, or in the mind of the individual, then what will happen? Tavat paryantam janma maran adi roop sansara na nivartate. So till that point, the janma maran roop sansar, it will not go away. So as long as I have this misconception about the difference between me and Ishvara. Of course, there is a difference between me and Ishvara. I, this small jiva, I, this alpagya, this less knowledge having jiva, I, this alpa shakti jiva. How can I be equal to Ishvara? No. But how am I same? I am same by the essence. I am same by the essence. So that essence I have to understand as my true nature, and that is also Ishvara's nature. So one who understands, he can go right up to Ishvara and say, yes, you and me are same. We are the same essence only. The only difference is the our reflecting medium, because of which you appear big. But otherwise, by essence, it is not there. There is no difference. So then, tasmat karanat जीव ईश्वरयोः भेद बुद्धि ही न स्वीकार्या. So because of this, we cannot accept any kind of difference, this bhed buddhi between what? Between jiva and ishvara. So this bhed buddhi, as long as it persists, it will bring me back to samsara. It will bring me back to death and birth and death. But once I realize my essence as infinite, then this world I have to suffer, because there is my prarabdham. So I have been born into this world. I have been given this body. So this body will continue till it ends. Why? Because the illusion is not going to go away as long, even if there is knowledge. So I know that the sun is not going around the earth. I see daily the sun rise in the east, it sets in the west. So I have the illusion that the sun is going around the earth. But I can never know the actual truth unless it is verified by some observation, by some spacecraft or something observed from the sky, or by different scientific techniques, by analyzing the shadows and the movements of the shadows of the sun and the earth. So when I do that, I can, through that knowledge, liberate myself. That knowledge will liberate me. So I can know that this sun is actually not going around the earth. But will I stop seeing it that way? No, it will not happen, right? So till my prarabdha is there, till the time for which this body is given, I will continue to suffer the joys and sorrows. But with this knowledge, will do what? It will liberate me from the effects of these joys and sorrows. I will treat every tough time and good time as just a situation. This too shall pass away. This will also go away. Another situation will come. So I am what? I am Atma. I am unchanging. I am not changing through all of these situations. So with this bhava, with this thought, if I go through my life without having no further desires for getting trapped here, then I will be liberated. I will not be born again. So this Janma Maran Adi Rup Sansara Na Nivartate, it will not happen again. Right? So So this next part is going to be taken in the next class. So what is this saying? Nanu sa ahankarasya kinchit gyasya jivasya nir ahankarasya sarvagyasya ishwarasya tattvam isi asi iti mahavakyat katham ved buddhi syad ubhayoho viruddha dharma krantvat iti chet. So by this knowledge, uh, this knowledge, how can you say that this jiva with the less of knowledge, kinchit gyasya, and then Jivasya. How can I compare to this jiva with sa ahankar? So what is this jiva? With ahankar and with less knowledge. And what about Ishvara? Nirahankarasya, sarvagyasya, Ishwarasya. So he is without any ahankara. He is sarvagya, he is all-knowing. Ishwarasya, he controls or rules over everything. So how can I remove? By this Mahavakya, Tattvam Asi iti Mahavakya. These Mahavakyas and so many other hundreds and thousands of Mahavakyas appear in our scriptures, and they basically tell us the unity, the essence, the oneness between the Jivatma and Paramatma. So once this happens, then this Viruddha Dharma Krantatva, this the appearance of difference between Jiva and Ishvara, it falls away. So what are these Mahavakyas? We shall see in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम